Given the kinds of communities that you've worked with, I was wondering if you could comment on unique barriers faced by, for example, the LGBT community that you work with.
Some of the issues specific to the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender populations are difficult because many of the elders in that population came of age at a time when who they were could end them up in mental institutions. They could be arrested. And so their understanding of turning to service providers for help is a very difficult barrier to overcome, because oftentimes in their younger years the service providers were the ones who were perpetrating the violence. And so it's a trust issue that has to be built up with the LGBT community. And because of that mistrust of service providers and law enforcement, LGBT folks have isolated oftentimes and not come to an understanding of the resources that may be available to them. And by the same token, service providers haven't educated themselves about what the needs of the LGBT population may be and what resources are available in the LGBT community that service providers might tap to be able to help the elder victims who do come to them.
Well, I think that the isolation piece, they're less apt to have adult children and that kind of extended family to come in and assist and provide some caregiving and support as we get older. And they may be estranged from their family of origin also, just because of homophobia and those kind of things. The family may not have accepted them. So that's probably the isolation piece. I think it's difficult for them to reach out and ask for help just out of fear over how the helping agency is going to respond. They don't know if they are, an LGBT-friendly environment or not. So that can be challenging for them. Many of them grew up or grew old in a time when it was not okay to express that kind of sexuality in public. It was considered a mental illness. They were jailed because of it. It was illegal. So that closet that they hide in, that place where they really don't want people to know, can be more intense for the older population. And especially if once they start reaching out for help, they find out that they're not working with a gay-friendly organization. I think for transgender individuals that it becomes even more complicated just because of society's inability to accept that population and the way, kind of the attitudes around that. The fear of not being respected, not being called by the gender that you prefer, people insisting on calling you by, the gender you were assigned at birth, even though that's not how you recognize yourself now. Just the complications of emergency shelter if you're transgender, and how will they accept you, and providing emergency shelter, and so it just becomes more and more complicated, I think, for that transgender population.